Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 18th regular board meeting. Before we get started this evening, I want to thank the members of our Tri-City communities for a resounding passage of issue 76. That issue will allow us to continue programming for our students pre-K to 12, and we cannot do this academic thing without each and every one of you, and we just appreciate your continued support and encouragement. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting, and Dr. Rock, if you would please call the roll.
Mrs. Moomin,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Here.
Mrs. Gator, Mr. Freeman, Miss Mitchell.
Here. All five are here and accounted for. At this time, Mr. Freeman, will you please recite the Pledge of Allegiance? You're on mute.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll read the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we're at item 1.3, which is approval of tonight's agenda. Dr. Rock, Mr. Jolly, are there any additional items or deletions from the agenda?
Yes, we'd like to add public participation to the agenda.
So that we do this the right way, we need to put a motion on the floor to add public participation to the agenda, and then the board will say yay or nay that we're going to add it. So may I have a motion on the floor to add public participation to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to add public participation on our tonight's agenda, November 18th, 2020, and that would be item.
Let's make it item 1.5.
Item 1.5.
A second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you call the roll real quick on item 1.5, please? I mean, on adding item 1.5.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. So at this time, can I have a motion on the floor to approve item 1.3, approval of tonight's agenda with the addition of public participation as 1.5?
Madam Chair, I move for 1.3 approval of tonight's agenda, adding item public participation in 1.5.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. We may have to turn our volume down some of our units because we've got a lot of feedback. All righty. At this point in time, we need a motion on the floor to approve item 1.4, which is improving in-person meetings.
Madam Chair, I move that this board approve 1.4, approve in-person meetings.
May I have a second?
A second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is the recent addition of public participation. And at this time, we had one letter come in from a concerned member of the community. It was quite a long communication. And due to that, I'm just going to synthesize the information. It was noted that there are concerns about the safety of our scholars, our teachers, and our administrators, personnel in the community at large, if we continue to keep our children in the classroom during this pandemic. The letter went on to talk about the power of the virus, which we all understand, it talked about their concerns about in-person learning versus remote learning. It also provided some recommendations on how we could move into a remote learning environment for the time being. And we just want to say thank you so very much for the community members that did send that communication into us. Our district works diligently to ensure that everyone in our district community is safe at all times. And I'm going to just kind of leave it there because Mr. Jolly is going to be providing a more in-depth overview of the plans that are going to be in place for our school year at this point in time. So Mr. Jolly, if you want to move on into item, I'm sorry, no, we're going to go to item 1.6.
I want to hold
go
one
ahead.
second.